What's up, thrifters? My name is Luke from Archer & Wood's pre-owned menswear and vintage watch store. Today I'm going to go through my top 5 tips for thrifting online. So there's many different ways of thrifting, obviously in person if you've got thrift stores around you or vintage stores. Obviously in person is kind of ideal because you get it there and then, you can feel and have a look at the stuff, but online is probably most accessible to most people. So I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for thrifting online, starting with knowing the look you're going for. So a lot of us dress in different kind of genres. There are many out there, but for instance, I love to dress a bit of tailoring. I love workwear too. Love a bit of denim, and I like to mix all these up, but these are certain sections that I tend to go for. But a really helpful tool I use is Pinterest, just to drill down on these. So I'll have a Pinterest board for each individual one, and I'll be able to reverse engineer any images. So if I see something on Instagram, I'll save it to a board. I'll try and figure out, first of all, where the item's from originally, or what kind of similar brands there are that do a similar kind of thing. And then I'll know what I'm kind of looking for. Really gives you a clear idea of what you're going out there to find, because if you go out thrifting, be it in person or online, without a set goal, then it can be quite messy. So when you know what you're looking for, it can be more precise, and you'd also find that you don't get so fatigued by looking at just like everything. So tip number 2 is know your brands. So once you've found the kind of looks that you're going for, doing a bit of research on the brands themselves is really important. So for instance, with tailoring, I'm a big fan of Italian tailoring, and knowing the certain brands and maybe the brands that the masses aren't aware of, can be really helpful, especially when you're going for a deal. Because essentially the mass audience isn't there, the competition isn't there when you're going for an individual piece. If you're thrifting for something like a Saint Laurent jacket, there's gonna be a lot of people in competition with you to get that, so the price is going to be quite high. But if it's a Marina navy blazer, there'll be still a good few people out there, but the competition is significantly less. So once you've done that research and you know the items you want, I would then advise to go out into the physical stores and try them on. Check out the material. I mean, if it's possible, if you've got places near to you, check out the material, check out how it sits on your body, how the lapels look, how the shoulders look, just how the general silhouette of it is on you, how the colours are, what the material is like. If you get to know the items and you get to know the brands you're looking for, you can make searching for them online so much easier. It's also good to get to know the average prices that you're seeing in the retail store, because you want to make sure you're getting a good deal if you're buying it secondhand. So tip number 3 is always negotiate respectfully. This is a really big one, because I'm sure if anyone's ever put anything for sale and they've received a complete lowball bid, it can almost feel personally insulting. It's kind of something you know that this person who's offering you something isn't trying to get under your skin, but it does. It feels like a personal insult and an affront to your very nature. So when you're out there buying yourself and you're trying to make an offer, you have to really think of, is the offer you're going to put out there going to offend the person, and then also make negotiations hostile. So you really want to make a respectful offer. So for instance, if something was going for £10, go in with £8. Don't go in with 5, don't go in with 6, go in with 8. That's the general idea. I mean, obviously we all try our arms at some points. We all have different valuations for something, especially when there's an item that's pre-owned. I mean, condition plays a big part. There's just how rare it is, or how many people were after it. There's a lot to take in. So you have to use your own judgment here, but my feelings initially are, be respectful first. If you are in a negotiation, maintain that. Just be kind, be nice. Don't try to diminish the item you're looking for. Don't try and say, oh no, well, it looks like shit, so give it to me for half the price. Because that, the person you're buying from likely isn't stupid. So treating them with a bit of respect can go a long way. A little bonus tip for this as well is, when you are into negotiations and you want to speak to someone about the item, go in with a hi, a hello, how are you? Go in like a normal person trying to interact with another person. Don't go in with, what's the price, or what's your best deal, or whatever this, use hellos, say thanks, say how you doing. you know, just treat the other person like a human being, because that's exactly what they are, and going in cold with a rude message just isn't the way forward. Tip number 4, and this is a really big one, is ask questions about the item you're looking to buy, especially if it's expensive, and also ask them about measurements as well. So for the measurement side of things, this is also really important with tailoring, because someone may have already taken it to a tailor's, especially if it's pre-owned. It's likely that someone would have had it adjusted to them. So if you're a tall guy, you don't necessarily want to buy it from a shorter guy, and you have to think about what happens at tailors. So sleeves, trousers, waist, sometimes jackets are shortened, so try and get those measurements in before you pull the trigger. Obviously condition as well, and this especially goes for lighter items or white shirts. Say, check out the armpits if there's any deodorant stains. Smells are a big one. Just ask some basic questions. Places like eBay are also pretty good. If you do receive an item that isn't described, you will likely get your money back, so I wouldn't worry too much, but it's best to be open and upfront first. And tip number 5 is know your limits. Know your budget, know your limits, so when you're actually bidding on an item, you don't want to be going too far. We can all get a little bit excited, we get the dopamine hit of going into an auction. It's almost like gambling. So when you're going in for something, before actually putting the bid in, know what's the absolute maximum you're going to go into this for, because there's no point buying it when you end up going to near retail. If you're buying a second-hand suit or something, and then you end up paying 20 quid less than what it would have cost to buy new, unless you're big into pre-owned in terms of sustainability, that's fine. But I would always say there comes a moment where there's no point buying something for that close to retail price. So know your limits before you start getting into any sort of bidding wars. And then you also know if you lose out on it, it's not the end of the world. You just got outbid by someone who wanted it more or would pay for it more. So it's really important to set those limits up front and know your budget, really. That's a really important one. So there we have it. They're my top 5 tips for thrifting online. Let me know in the comments below if you think of any more. Please check out our store, archonwoods.com, for pre-owned menswear and vintage watches. Some amazing pieces in there for really affordable prices and for all sorts of budgets. If you have any questions, it's hello@archonwoods.com, @archonwoods on the socials, and look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.